Hey guys, welcome back to Her Lens podcast. I am your host, Rubina. So, if you haven't already seen episode 1, I'm going to leave the link down in the description. So, please make sure to go click on that, watch the video, tell me what you think. Mind you, it was my first episode and I was like seriously nervous and I was kind of scatterbrained and I was like, I'm trying to meet a minimum time requirement. So, I was kind of all over the place, to be honest with you. But we are back. Let's throw it back to episode 1 when I talked about starting your passion project and just doing it for yourself and no one else. To not think about what other people think about you. That was crazy. I think I just had an aneurysm, to be honest with you. But really, don't think about what people have to say. Just do it for yourself. You don't know what's on the other side of fear. It is the threshold between you and your dreams. Period. Let me just hear it for me. That was good. Okay. But today we're going to talk about realistic expectations because those are serious. I was having some expectations on this podcast. Like when I first started, I was like, okay, I'm going to have the photo shoot done. I'm going to start January 1st. Like our post is going to go up, right? I was telling you guys all about that in episode 1. And girl, guy, whoever you are watching, that totally did not happen, right? Because like I said, life happened. I experienced some loss. I then got super busy in school. Like I said, I'm a girly who is taking classes at a university level, and if you are too, awesome. If you're taking classes in general, please, a girl knows that those can be hard. Like, it is a lot of time, money, and effort going into that. So, snaps for you if you're doing that because you are pursuing a dream. So, where was I going with that? Yeah, that's kind of me. That's kind of where I am. Hello, I am Dory, I guess. But yeah, so I put a lot of expectations on myself. I think I was saying how I was in school. Things happened. I didn't get to the podcast in January. We are filming because I'm currently filming, but you're not watching what I filmed. But anyways, aside from the point, we started filming in May and here we are, February, March, April, 4 months in from the new year, and I started. And with that being said, I want to talk about realistic expectations. Okay, so like I was saying, sorry if we had a little cut. If you noticed the cut in there, it's because I forgot what I was going to say. But having these just unrealistic expectations for this podcast set me up to just be so disappointed. And it was so funny because I think it was in April when we were talking about like making like plans to do the photo shoot for this podcast. And we were talking about episode 1 and when we were going to drop it. And like, guys, you do not know how much work goes into a podcast until you've actually done it. Because to be honest with you, I was like, oh, easy. I just get the mic, get the camera, get the computer, boom, edit. No, it didn't. It was not that way. This has been like weeks of planning, weeks of meeting up. Like, we got to talk about where I'm going to film the podcast, like what time of day we're going to film the podcast, the notes that go with the podcast, all the accounts, buying our domain. Like, it was a lot. Like, when I tell you it was a lot, it was a lot. And so I was just super disappointed. And in April, I remember, and you know, for some of you who do go to church, applaud to you because Sundays are rest days, but when you get up and go somewhere and praise the Lord up above, it's great. It sets you up for like a wonderful week, honestly, in my opinion. And okay, her lens, my view. Okay, that's what we're listening to. And if you don't, if you believe in a higher power, if you're just a spiritual person in general, you know that connecting with the higher power, with God, it just sets you up for some like with like an internal like, I don't know, success, in my opinion. And so I hadn't been going to church. I had just had a really heavy loss in my life. And I decided, you know what, this random Sunday, I was like, I'm going to tune into church. I might not be going to church because I really wasn't ready for like the social part of church, but I wanted to watch the live stream at home. So I decided to put that on TV, and the pastor literally talked about something that had been weighing so heavy on my mind, and that was expectations. Crazy, huh? Because like I had been saying like this is what I expect from the podcast. You know, I had moments where I was like having a lot of self-doubt and I was like, ugh, like I'm probably going to get like 10 views, and I was so sad, not going to lie. And even if it was 10 views, like I know in that moment I was jumping with joy and just excited to see you guys interacting with this podcast, cuz really that's the goal, right? I think I mentioned in episode 1 that my podcast is really about like having this FaceTime call with your bestie. Because that's how I feel. That's how I feel like I'm talking to you guys. Like, I don't feel like I'm reading like from like a book. I feel like we're just having a conversation. Because this is how I talk to my friends on FaceTime. But anyways, back to the point. When he was talking about how in life we set up expectations subconsciously and consciously. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do something a certain way. We put a lot of pressure on our dreams and our goals. And I was sobbing. I was seriously sobbing because I was like, oh my gosh, like this is what I've been doing with my podcast for the past 3 weeks. And so when I really got over that, like, moral of the story, he was pretty much saying that the more we apply expectations, the more we set ourselves up for failure and for disappointment and for, I think, that like gut feeling that like sits inside of us and just grows because we're just so heavily disappointed. And that's where I would really put the podcast. Like, I was thinking about it the other day, and at one point in this podcast, in the planning, I was just so disappointed in the way it's gone and my lack of planning and my lack of organization and pretty much like the effort that I was putting into it, right? But I had never given myself the grace that I needed from going through. And one day when I do tell you guys what really did happen in January, you'll understand a little bit more. But it was so fresh in my life, and to this day it is so fresh in my life that I just never gave myself the grace, because I was like, things happen in life, we got to keep moving forward. Granted, it's a great mindset to have, but in all honesty, you have to allow yourself to feel what you're going to feel, right? Like when you go through something really heavy, you have to sit with that. The only way you are going to internally heal from anything that happens in your life that is, sad or hard, is by sitting in your thoughts and really processing what you're going through. So when I had done that, church ended and I was sobbing in my bed. I was thinking, you know what? I need to give myself some grace and some space. Ooh, grace and space. Love that. Period. If you know what that means. I don't know. My kids have taught me that, and also some of my friends do this. Clock it, I think, is what they say. Love that. Also, shout out to the nails. Wow, yes. Love these. My girl who works at Dutch Bros. Oh, again, Dutch Bros. If you would like to sponsor Her Lens podcast, hit us up in the link, because our email is there. Our business email is there. We would love to collab, like truly. When I gave myself grace and space and time to process what I had gone through, I was like, you know what? I'm going to drop all the expectations that I have for this podcast. I'm going to put goals in front of me, like little micro goals that I know are obtainable. And I'm sure some of you have heard this in school, like always set goals that in increments so that you accomplish things. And so I did. So I was like, all right, first let's get this photo shoot done. All right, boom. The photo shoot came out amazing, by the way. Shout out to the producer and his wife for volunteering the set and getting the pictures and choosing the pictures and editing. They were amazing. And if you haven't already, my Instagram is linked down below and you can check out those photos. So super exciting, right? And then I was like, okay, the next goal is to buy our domain and to set up our YouTube channel. Boom. Out of the way, done. And I was like, okay, now I'm starting to feel like kind of hyped up, because I was like, all right, I'm finally meeting goals in this podcast that I feel are they feel good. I'm not disappointed. It's not going in the pace necessarily that I thought it would be, but I'm still so excited. And then we filmed episode 1. boom, that dropped. Super exciting. Also, thank you to anyone who liked, comment, and subscribed and turned on your post notifications, because that meant the world to me. And just all, first and foremost, the man above for planting the seed in my heart for her lens. And then my friends and family, who you guys have literally supported me so much and like hyped me up, because I was nervous, and you could totally tell in episode 1, but hey, we're not going to say anything, right? So when I started achieving all these goals for the podcast, I just couldn't tell you how excited I was, and getting to film and getting my friends here with me who get to be behind the camera and support me it's just been honestly amazing. And really, I think in life we set up these expectations, and unrealistic expectations, for a lot of things. It's more than just our goals. It's to our friendships, it's to our partners, it's to our family, our jobs. Like, when we put expectations on those things and then we're disappointed, it hurts, and it creates a lot of, it's like something festering inside of your heart, right? It's something growing. It's anger that comes out later. It's you shoving down all the disappointment and then later blowing up on people. And then you regret everything you say or do from there sometimes. And it sucks, because I know the feeling, and it's something I'm learning from. And mind you, being in your 20s, guy, girls, whoever's listening behind the camera, behind the screen, it is complicated. Like, your 20s is when you're navigating what you like, what you don't like, where you want to go, where you don't want to go. It is having friendships, losing friendships, having a boyfriend, losing a boyfriend, having a girlfriend, losing a girlfriend. It's all the things. And let me tell you, I finally hit 25 where, as some may say, your frontal lobe has completely developed. But, disclaimer, life is still lifing, right? So, like, I still struggle to figure out things that I'm doing. And I think expectations this year has been such a heavy one on my heart, because, I've realized how many I put in different places. And it wasn't only in this podcast. It has been literally in every part of my life. And when I finally have brought that down, and mind you, the first step to anything is acknowledging what you're struggling with and deciding what you're going to do moving forward. And this is advice that I would give to my friends. Like, first and foremost, you have to acknowledge a habit you have, and especially unhealthy habits. They're the ones that we do not want to acknowledge, but we have to acknowledge. And sitting with those thoughts and sitting with the expectations we have on the people, places, things around us, I acknowledged what I was doing. And so moving forward, I was like, the best thing I can do for my own mental health and for myself is to give it to God. And I know some of you are going to be like, oh my goodness, like, sure, let me just give it to God, right? Yeah, because that's what I thought. So maybe you thought that too. Crickets. But yeah, so really, to be honest with you, when I gave it to God, it was more than just me being like, here, God, take this from me. It was seriously like, I had to sit with my thoughts and be like, God, if it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen. I'm not going to have any expectations here. And moving forward, I cannot tell you how much peace I have in my life. Granted, this has meant that I've lost some friends, gained some friends. I've started cool hobbies, ended cool hobbies, but it's something that I'm learning, and it is okay. Like, when we lose people, when we lose things, it is hard, don't get me wrong. But it is something in life that you see the greater outcome. You see why you've lost people. You see why you stopped doing certain things. And it is typically because you're moving forward. But first, it took you acknowledging that, right? Okay, so something that I really struggle with, and, talking about just the expectations and like everything that like falls into our life. Okay, big one. Our generation and social media. Ugh. It kills me, literally kills me, because I was thinking back the other day about how much time I spend on Instagram and TikTok. Not so much Snapchat, but like Definitely just social media in general, even YouTube. Like I watch a lot of YouTube. I'm on Instagram probably more than 2 hours a day. I do not like admitting that out loud. But if you know about the settings timer, I do that just because I want to know like if I've been on Instagram for 2 hours in the day, which is a lot, by the way. Because if you can sit on your phone for that long in just increments, like, dang. And I tell myself that all the time. And some of us have social media jobs, so it's kind of our job to be on our phone. But I guess we never really think about how many subconscious and conscious expectations we gain from just watching social media. Like, I'll think about how someone has like such a healthy lifestyle, right? Or someone eats like a guru every day, and I'm just like eating some hot Cheetos, binge watching TikTok. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like I need to jump on this health game." Or I'll think about how certain couples on social media are just perfect. Like don't even seem like they have a problem at all. And I'm thinking like, dang, like maybe me and my boyfriend just like argue about who's going to get up and get the remote sometimes. Like it's kind of just like little minor things like that. And the amount of time we consume social media, honestly, it plays a huge factor in our expectations in our everyday life, right? We only see what people want us to see. We only show people what we want them to see, you know? Like when we post a picture, we are thinking about all the edits, all the Facetune, all of the, oh my gosh, my butt doesn't look like this or my waist doesn't look like that. But what happened to just being okay with who you are, right? And not even that, but throwback maybe a couple years ago when I was thinking about moving out of my parents' house. I saw a ton of people younger than me and maybe my age moving out and having these like amazing top tier apartments. And I was thinking to myself, like, here I am, 23, still living with my mom. And I would really get down and out about that. And there's plenty more of down and out moments that I've had because of social media in general. But that was definitely a huge one for me. And I remember I was telling my mom, I was like, Mom, like, I gotta move out. And she's like, whoa, 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 like, pump the brakes. Like, you need like A, B, C, and D to move out. And I thought, yeah, you're right. But like, I just need to do it. Like, how are all these younger people than me? Like, people who are 18, 19, they're like gone out of their parents' home, have a beautiful apartment, have like all their furniture, chef's kiss, right? Like, I need to be on that, you know? And it didn't play out, by the way, like that. I ended up moving out when I was like 24, but I ended up finding somewhere that was like really simple, very small. It was good. Like I couldn't be more proud of that moment, but I didn't share it with social media. And actually at that time, I had taken a big social media break. So something that my grandma was saying was that she realized that I had a lack of attention span whenever I was on my phone. Like she'd be talking or my mom would be talking and I'd be like on my phone scrolling. And like it's like things went in one ear and out the other. And like how awful. If your family is talking to you or if your friends are talking to you, like just listen. That's like the kindest thing you can do is to listen. And she was telling me how like a social media break, like a cleanse, like you know we talk about like juicing cleanses and like different health cleanses. What about a social media cleanse? So I ended up completely like deleting my Instagram app off my phone, and I ended up deleting my TikTok app off my phone. And this cute little apartment came across I think it was like Zillow, and I was like, I love that place. Like it is perfect. It's updated, it's cute, it's small, it will feel like home. So I ended up going to tour it, and then like it was just a perfect fit. And I moved in, and I had I did cross my mind to do like this photo shoot of like my new house, you know, like a couple TikTok videos, maybe a little photo shoot in an empty living room. But no, I didn't do that. I was so present in that moment, and I was so proud of myself. For a minute there, I was literally using camping chairs, by the way, as my couch. So humbling, if I say so myself. Super humbling moment. And I had my friends over, I had my family over, and it was just so exciting. And like one night, I remember I was alone in my house, and it was the first time that I had ever just like had so much silence, and it was honestly kind of weird. And I was laying there thinking to myself, like, I probably wouldn't be here had I not deleted all my social media, right? Because I was like, I have to be top tier. Like, I have to move out of this small town that I live in. Like, I have to have all the best furniture. I have to do this, have to do that. When did anyone say you have to do that? No one did. It's just something that's portrayed on social media, right? And so is everything else. Um, a huge one is like relationships and how people are asked to be a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or how we get proposed to, where we move, where we go, if we have a dog, when we have kids, right? Like everything is laid out in this like societal, like how would you call it, like timeline. And it puts like just so much pressure on yourself. And really, like, if anything, if you take anything from this, take a social media cleanse and just take a minute to like reflect on like where you're like think about the timeline you have, right? And just kind of ask yourself, is that timeline because of social media? Is it because everyone's saying? Is it because society says I have to be married at 26 and be having a kid at like 27? Like, am I going here or there because everyone else is going there? Am I doing all those Instagram photo shoots because everyone else is doing those Instagram photo shoots? Am I pursuing a career or a passion project because everyone else is doing it? Like, truly take a minute to like reflect on these questions, right? And if I've learned anything, when I have that silence, I accomplish so much more. And it's exciting. And I've realized that when I do accomplish these little things, how much I just was present in those moments. And being present and acknowledging where you're at is so important. So I do have some cool questions for you guys to answer in the comments down below. Or maybe you feel like it's a little bit more personal, so you can go ahead and DM me. My Instagram is linked in the bio. What's one expectation you've let go of that brought you peace? And what's one area where you feel pressure to meet your expectations, and what's brought you out of it? I know that earlier in the episode, I was telling you guys how, I had expectations based on this podcast, and I kind of gave you some insight on what I did to let go of it. I poured back into myself. And then, when it came to my real life and moving and having a relationship and doing all that, the expectations that I held over that. And by the way, if you're interested in like, cutesy relationship advice, also comment that because I want to know. I want to know where you're at. I want to tell you guys where I'm at, and it's exciting. So, yeah, social media cleanse and being present and finding your own purpose in the silence of being alone in your own thoughts and gaining your own motivation. Can't tell you how exciting that is because it has brought me the furthest I've ever been. So this cool quote that I was reading the other day or maybe like an hour ago, to be quite honest with you. But I've heard it before. I just really needed to see who said it. But William Shakespeare said that expectations is the root of all heartache. And I don't want to mess up the audio, but claps for Mr. Shakespeare because, yeah, because that is so the truth. Honestly, unrealistic expectations or realistic, like it kind of goes hand in hand, right? Like we create unrealistic expectations based on our reality. So that's either going to motivate you or put you on burnout mode, right? And a lot of the times you start with motivation, right? Like you have all these super high expectations. January 1st rolls around. For example, the podcast, January was rolling around. We had talked about it. We had confirmed, and we were going to, boom, post on January 1st. For you, it could be like, I'm going to start working out January 1st. I think that was like a Saturday or a Sunday this year. Not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Drop it in the comments down below because I don't remember. And for a minute, I was motivated. I was locked in, right? For the podcast, we had set dates for the photo shoot in like December, I want to say. And we had created this whole like notepad full of just like ideas, things that we're going to talk about, things that we wanted to cover, what her lens was all about. And then when I didn't reach those expectations, it was wraps, guys. I was on complete burnout mode. I had not only not reached any of my goals, but at the same time, like my life around this podcast was happening like so quick. So much was going on. I had assignments due Tuesdays. I had work every single day, like 9 to 5. Like I was busy, so busy. And then I was just burnt out. Like, then when it came down to us finally meeting and talking about the podcast and talking about ideas of what the photo shoot was gonna, like, what the aesthetic was gonna be for this entire podcast, I honestly, I had no energy. Like, just the thought of the podcast made me tired and made me feel like, what are some ways that I can get myself out of this, right? Because I was going into like this survivor mode where I was like, I need out. I need a way out now. And I don't know if any of you have ever felt that way. Like maybe you started working out and you're like, like I need an excuse not to go today. Or maybe you guys are going to school and you're like, dang, like today's a super busy day. Like how can I get out of class? Like, right? Like those are things because you're on burnout because you expect so much of yourself. And really, my question is, how do you pour back into yourself in times of burnout? Great question, because I'm going to tell you a little bit like what I do, but I would really truly love to hear what you do. Like in times when you are lacking maybe what is it? My boyfriend says it all the time, by the way. Artistic motivation, maybe. It's definitely not what he says, but that's what I'm going to call it for this podcast. When you're like lacking ideas and when you're on this burnout mode, like what do you do to pour back into yourself to create, like to like, you know, light the fire again? Because something that I did was I completely took a break from the podcast. I like for probably, and my producer can vouch for this, I probably did not text him back about the podcast for like 2 weeks. And that is seriously because I needed to recollect myself and I needed to pour back into myself in ways that made me feel good. And so, you know, for me at least, that was focusing on my first two top priorities. And not to say that the podcast wasn't a priority, but it was so, I wasn't motivated in that moment like at all for the podcast. So what I was doing was like I had to focus on school and I had to focus on my job. Two things that I'm incredibly passionate about. And when I did that for a few weeks, then I started to feel like myself. Okay, then I started going back to the gym. And I started, and mind you, like I said, I'll get into everything that happened in January sometime. But right now is not that time. But I needed to do good things for myself. Fun fact, if you are ever feeling like you're low vibrations, maybe you're feeling anxiety or depression, I would seriously recommend not only talking to a professional, but also asking your doctor to test your vitamin panel. I had heard that on one of the podcasts, somewhere in a podcast. So in one of them that I was listening to, she had mentioned like going to get your vitamin panel done. So I was like, never heard of that correlating to low energy and stuff like that. But of course, it made sense when I really thought about it. Come on now. So I had done a vitamin panel. I was so low in like vitamin B12 and vitamin D. Like, I guess I just did not see the sun for like a year or something because it was so low. And when I started getting back on these healthy habits, I started gaining more motivation, right? Like I started not only feeling good about what I was doing in the current present day, but then thinking about the future and thinking about all the things that I was passionate about, including this podcast, something that I have been dreaming to do for years. It was all coming back to me. And that is what happens when we take care of ourselves. So maybe today you're feeling kind of low. You tuned in my podcast. Thank you so much. But maybe you need to go and do something. Go get a facial. By the way, the bestie in this house, she does facials. So I'm excited to go and see her. But not only that, go get your hair done. Go do your nails. Go, I don't know, go on a bike ride. Go on a hike. Go breathe fresh air. Go stand in the sun. Like it's as simple as that. You don't have to spend money. Like go and do something that is so simple, like meditate in a forest. I don't know, that kind of sounds mystical. Or go to the beach, go put your toes in the sand. That is so peaceful to me. But go and do something that's going to bring you back and really and truly, and this is going to be deep, but sometimes when I feel so low and sad, like it's almost like I look in a mirror and I don't even recognize who she is. And that is like just me being completely honest and transparent with you guys. Sometimes I have my moments where I'm looking and I'm just like, who am I? What am I doing? I'm feeling at a loss. But then I'm like, okay, what is one thing that I've learned in these 4 months? Go pour back into yourself. Go be realistic and don't hold an expectation over your head. Go and take care of yourself. Take some vitamins, go do a workout, go on a hike, and get back on it. Because life does not stop when everything is happening around you. It only continues, and you got to keep up and you got to keep going. And so I hope that this podcast episode 2, by the way, if you have like stayed this entire time, thank you so much. Like, I am so excited to interact with you guys. I'm trying not to like hit the table and stuff, but I can't even express to you guys how much I'm just like in like pure gratitude for this experience. But you guys are just awesome, and I can't believe all the just great energy I've gotten from just starting this podcast, and I'm really excited. So today you should definitely go and do something for yourself. I think it's good, and remember to not hold expectations around everything. Like, let it go. Take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be all right. And understand, give yourself that grace to know that life happens and things happen and our schedules get booked up. But it doesn't mean that you should stop taking care of yourself and motivating yourself to push forward. And don't get in that burnout mode. When you recognize that burnout is coming, like I'm saying, and I'll keep repeating it, go do something for yourself. But I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 2. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe down below. Turn on your post notifications because we are posting every Tuesday. Cue the music, producer. So round of applause. Thank you for everyone who has supported me so far. Yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye. It is... What was I saying? Oh, let's go again. Expectations is the root of all heartache. Dang, that is deep. Okay. That's all I have, everybody. How long are we at? Holding.
Like 10 minutes.
Oh, good. So we met our...
I think so.
Thank goodness.
You're done. That was good.
That was good?
Yes.